Okay, so Audrey, have you ever just stopped and really thought about what consciousness actually is? Because there's this whole wild frontier in science suggesting it's way more than just, neurons firing in a predictable way.
Oh my gosh, Shannon, absolutely. I think about it all the time. Like, is it just electricity or is there something deeper, Something that gives us that sense of being. I always feel like it can't just be purely classical. What are we talking about here?
Exactly. That something deeper is what some researchers are calling a quantum phenomenon. Instead of just classical neurological activity, they're proposing our sense of being alive might actually stem from quantum processes within the brain itself. They even describe the brain as a living wave of probabilities, which, is just so cool.
Whoa, a living wave of probabilities? That sounds totally mind-bending. So, are we talking about quantum weirdness happening in our heads? Like superposition and entanglement?
You got it. Those are the big ones. The idea is that particles in our brain could exist in multiple states at once, which is superposition, and even become linked in a way that allows them to instantly correlate regardless of distance. That's entanglement. It really just challenges everything traditional neuroscience teaches us, right?
Okay, so if this quantum stuff is happening, are there any studies or anything that actually point to it? Because it sounds so theoretical?
Oh, absolutely there are. And they're pretty fascinating. For instance, a 2024 study out of Shanghai University suggested that certain fatty structures in our brains, like myelin sheaths around nerve axons, might actually generate quantum entangled biphoton pairs. They think this could help synchronize neurons, which is super crucial for cognition.
Entangled by photons? Wow. So, our brains could actually be quantum computers in a way?
Well, maybe not exactly computers as we know them, but definitely utilizing quantum mechanics. Another experiment, this one from Trinity College Dublin in 2022, also hinted at entanglement at work, with signals appearing only during conscious awareness. And then there's the whole observer effect, right? That in quantum mechanics, the act of observation can actually influence reality, causing a quantum wave to collapse into a definite state.
Oh, I've heard of that. Like, our awareness itself could be the universe noticing itself, right? That's what people say. But, is that actually what scientists think?
It's an intriguing idea for sure, and some philosophical interpretations explore that link. But the thing is, while the observer effect is an established physical phenomenon where measurement alters the system, the notion that a conscious mind is actually required for this effect isn't widely supported by scientific research. That's often considered a misconception. But the idea that our awareness could be a creative act is pretty compelling anyway. So, going deeper into how this could actually work inside us, there's this really fascinating concept called orchestrated objective reduction, or ORC-OR theory. It was proposed by Dr. Stuart Hameroff and physicist Sir Roger Penrose.
Orc. I love that. What exactly does it propose?
Well, they suggest that consciousness arises from quantum computations within these tiny cylindrical structures inside our neurons called microtubules. They hypothesize that quantum superpositions actually collapse in a self-organized manner within these microtubules, and each collapse represents a moment of what they call proto-awareness.
Microtubules, huh? So, the very, very small parts of our cells are doing this incredible quantum dance? It just sounds so fragile. I thought the brain's environment was too warm and noisy for delicate quantum processes.
That was definitely the initial skepticism, and it was a huge hurdle. But evidence for quantum coherence has shown up in other biological systems, like photosynthesis and even bird navigation. So it's lent some real credibility to the possibility. And get this, a 2024 study in eNeuro found that drugs that bind to microtubules actually delayed unconsciousness under anesthesia in rats. That's a pretty strong hint that anesthesia acts on microtubules and potentially supports this quantum model of consciousness.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So it's like our consciousness could literally be a collective quantum vibration?
Exactly. Hameroff and Penrose say many of Orr's predictions have actually been confirmed. But, it still faces criticism for explaining one mystery with another, and definitive empirical evidence for the quantum role of microtubules is still a challenge. But experiments are being designed, which is really exciting.
So, if consciousness is quantum, Shannon, does that mean it's like fundamental to the universe? Or does it still just emerge from brain complexity like classical science suggests?
That's the million-dollar question, right? This debate extends to whether consciousness emerges from the brain's complexity or if it's actually a fundamental aspect of the universe itself. The latter view, which is often linked with panpsychism, suggests that a form of awareness is inherent in all matter. Panpsychism. So, like, everything has a tiny bit of consciousness? That's a pretty profound idea. Totally. Proponents suggest that if consciousness arises from ubiquitous quantum processes, then a form of proto-consciousness could actually be present at all levels of physical reality. People like Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose and Federico Faggin, who invented the microprocessor, engage in this debate. Penrose suggests quantum mechanics might be incomplete, and Faggin proposes quantum information panpsychism. It's like next-level thinking.
That's so fascinating. And what about AI or even altered states of mind? What are the implications there?
Oh, the implications are profound. If a quantum basis for consciousness is confirmed, then true sentience in AI might necessitate quantum processes, moving beyond just classical computation. Like Google's Quantum AI Lab is exploring whether quantum computing could unravel these mysteries. And for us, altered states of mind, like meditation or near-death experiences, might be moments where the brain's grip on classical reality loosens, allowing it to dip briefly into quantum coherence or access non-local information. It really opens up possibilities for what consciousness is and what it can do.